I'm ready. Gotta push the button.
Ready to call the meeting of the Village Board to order for Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Please ask you to make sure you silence your phones. Thank you. First item is roll call. If the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Bishke.
Present.
Trustee Madej.
Present.
Trustee Dunham.
Present.
Trustee Sullivan.
Present.
Trustee Conley. Present. Trustee Kozak.
Here.
President Daly.
Present. All present and accounted for. I would like to ask Trustee Conley if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next item is the approval of minutes from April 28th, 2020. Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve is presented. Second.
There's a motion by Trustee Bishke, Trustee Madej. Thank you. Seconded that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of expenditures is the next item for $2,601,315.96. Questions, comments on that?
Move to approve the expenditures as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the expenditures as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Liquor license requests, we have none on the agenda. I assume there is none for this evening. Consent agenda. The consent agenda will be read in its entirety, voted on as one motion to approve. If you wish to discuss an item further, please indicate that when it is read by the village clerk so that it can be removed from the consent agenda and discussed further under committee reports. Otherwise, all items will be approved as presented on the consent agenda in one motion to approve. Marilyn, Village Clerk Marilyn, would you please read the consent agenda? Thank you.
Number 1, Engineering and Public Works Committee. The motion would be to approve the NICOR relocation agreement and approve the required resolution. 2, Planning, Building, and Development Committee. The motion would be to approve the proposed amendment to Chapter 154, zoning of the municipal code pertaining to off-street parking and loading, and refer the matter to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a public hearing. 3, Plan Commission. The motion would be to approve the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 2019 Action Plan Amendment. B, the motion would be to approve a final plat of subdivision for Verde Estates located at the southwest corner of Thacker Street and Verde Drive. 4, Zoning Board of Appeals. A.
Hold, please.
That was Trustee Dunham?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that is a motion to approve a special use for an adult use cannabis dispensary and Woodfield Regional Center design review for Floramedics, DBA Sunnyside, 1739 East Gulf Road, Woodfield Gatherings, pulled by Trustee Dunham. B, the motion would be to approve a site plan amendment, floor area ratio, FAR variation, foundation landscape variation, parking setback variation, and buffer yard variation for Collins Elementary School, 407 South Summit Drive. C, the motion would be to approve a site plan amendment, building addition, special use for a contractor's storage yard, fence variation, and variation to operate outside an enclosed structure and Woodfield Regional Center design review for U.S. waterproofing, 1200 Tower Road. D, the motion would be to approve an amendment to the Municipal Code, Title 15, Chapter 154, zoning, pertaining to cannabis testing facilities. 5, Project Review Group. The motion would be to approve a site plan amendment, parking lot addition, and facade modifications for U.S. waterproofing, 81 Remington Road. 6, resolutions. The motion would be to adopt as resolution number R 20-032, authorizing an agreement to reimburse Nicor Gas for the cost to relocate their gas main on old Motorola corporate property along the south side of Algonquin Road. B, the motion would be to adopt as resolution R 20-033, ratifying memorandums of agreement with the Metropolitan Alliance of Police, MAP, Chapters 195 and 219, Fire Command Association and International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150, for the temporary deferral of annual contractual increases. C, the motion would be to adopt as resolution R 20-034, endorsing and accepting a voluntarily deferral of salary increases for the village president, village clerk, and village trustees to August 1st, 2020. 7, ordinances. The motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance 20-03.
This one would be pulled.
Pulled, yes,
Yes.
that's pulled. So then B, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-030, granting a site plan amendment, floor area ratio, FAR variation, foundation landscape variation, parking setback variation, and buffer yard variation for Collins Elementary School, 407 South Summit Drive. C, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance 20-031, granting site plan amendment, building addition, special use for a contractor's storage yard, fence variation, and variation to operate outside an enclosed structure, and Woodfield Regional Center design review for U.S. waterproofing, 1200 Tower Road. D, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-032, amending Title 15, Chapter 154 zoning of the municipal code pertaining to cannabis testing facilities. E, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-033, granting a site plan amendment, parking lot addition, and facade modifications for U.S. waterproofing, 81 Remington Road. That concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you, Village Clerk Marilyn. I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the 2 items removed for further discussion. One is item A under Zoning Board of Appeals. The other one is item A under ordinances.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second to approve the reading of the consent agenda. Will the clerk please pull the board?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Denham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Trustee Dunham asked for item A under Zoning Board of Appeals, a recommendation to approve a special use for an adult use cannabis dispensary in the Woodfield Region Concept Center Design Review. Trustee Dunham.
When Woodfield Gatherings, which is the center that this establishment would like to be in, when we approved that some years ago, it was sold to us on the basis that it was going to contain upscale restaurant and retail. And while obviously the cannabis issue was not on the horizon at that time, it has come upon us, and this particular petitioner has done a really excellent job in answering the village's questions and in planning, the taking of the 3 retail spaces that they say they're going to need. But I have to ask myself, and I have to ask all of you, Gulf Road is a premier corridor for the village of Schaumburg. And while a cannabis dispensary has a right to be somewhere, I don't think it's here. We're going to have the traffic pattern in the center is a little bit tight, but that's really not the crux of my issue either. My issue is that a cannabis dispensary is going to pretty much make its own market. There's 2 kinds of people in the world: them who smoke marijuana and them who don't. And the people who are going to be customers of this place will find them if they're in an establishment on the other side of the moon, much less in the greater Woodfield area. Their neighbors are primarily restaurants. I have had conversation with some of these restaurant people. None of them are particularly wild about the fact that that these folks want to come in. The petitioner is going to try to tell us, well, in the down economy, with difficulty and so forth, Schaumburg stands to gain tax revenue from this, and it'll generate traffic and so forth, and yeah, it will. But I'm sure that no matter where they go, they're going to generate traffic. They're going to, they're going to have a pretty much a ready-made market base. And guys, I just don't think that this is the place for this kind of a business. I don't want somebody's first impression of Schaumburg coming west on Gulf Road to be a pot palace. And if my language is a little bit derogatory, I'm sorry, but that's what I think. And I would urge you all, please consider it carefully and vote no. We can find these people another space, but the one thing that was drilled into me by Bob Atcher, by Mayor Kessel, by Mayor Egner, and Mayor Larson is that Schaumburg can afford to wait for quality. And while this is a quality marijuana establishment, it's not going to be a quality business establishment for the image that we want to project. So that's my argument, and I would move to vote against it.
Any further comments, questions? Yes, Trustee Madej.
All due respect with Trustee George Dunham, I think this area is actually a prime location for something like this, better than having it down on a strip mall somewhere closer to neighborhoods and our residents. This is more of a touristy area where we have people come into town, stay at our hotels, go shopping. Brick and mortar is having a tough time as it is. Any kind of draw as entertainment or things like this where you're going to get people from out of state that will go to the store, okay? The design of it is pretty upscale, and I believe that it would be an attraction and not a deterrence.
Thank you. Trustee Kozak.
I understand what George is trying to say, but in the same vein, there are several that have been opened up in surrounding towns within the Northwest area. And we have not seen any problems. I haven't seen any problems in the news about these facilities that have opened. The people that have go to these facilities, the recreational dispensaries, they're not the type of people that we're expecting that we don't want in this town. These people that are coming to these things they're coming in suits. You see the ads and you go to them, and I've driven by some of the other ones just to see what they're like, and yes, they are very popular. Yes, there are long lines. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not Woodstock all over again by any means. I mean, this is a class of people that are going there and they're getting it just for whatever purpose there are. I mean, we don't have a medical dispensary in town, so some of the people that are going there, because they have to go out of town to go to a medical dispensary, they're gonna be going there to the recreational to get whatever they need to get. And I don't think it's gonna be detrimental to the town.
Anyone else? Trustee Dunham?
I didn't say that the image of the people, that there was anything wrong with the image of the people that are going there. My argument is strictly the fact that I don't think that a marijuana dispensary belongs in this area on Gulf Road. They can, for the reasons that Trustee Kozak mentioned, we can find other space for them that is not going to be right out there. And my sole objection to it is its location, nothing else. And, you know, there's going to be traffic everywhere, I understand that. The getting in and out of that little center is going to be a little tight. It's going to require a lot of turning movements, but that you know, I didn't mean to, you know, create the impression that I thought that there was a different class of folks that would be coming through here, and I believe Frank's right. You know, they're going to be properly dressed and behave, and I wasn't even thinking about Woodstock when I said it, but again, I think there are other places where this business could thrive, where Schaumburg could, you know, reap the same tax gains that we will get from this. I just don't want to see it in an area where there's moms and dads and kids going to, you know, the barbecue store or Steak Shack or, you know, the other businesses that are there. I mean, it's supposed to be upscale restaurant / retail, and we can afford to wait until something like that comes along again. It may be a bit of a wait, but again, these guys are chomping at the bit to get into town. They want the most visibility that they possibly can, and if you think I'm opposed to this, wait till next village board meeting. So anyway, that's my spiel.
Thank you, George. Trustee Conley?
I guess I'll speak. I understand what George is saying. I have concerns about this site purely from a parking perspective. That's the left turn that you have to make, if it's during the holiday season to get into it, is going to be busy at times. And it can be, when the restaurants are fully operational, a busy, tight place. And so I have some concerns about that. But as far as the use, I mean, we went through a zoning process before, you know, a committee of the whole with us at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we approved these types of locations. As you can recall, I had some significant concerns about the shopping center just west of Schaumburg High School. As it turned out, when we added churches, it knocked that one out of the game, because as Trustee Madej said, I'd be more concerned in our neighborhoods where kids are taking their bikes, walking to Sprinkles and, you know, pizza places and stuff like that. This is very far from any residential. You don't have kids going there on bikes or things like that. If they're there, they're going into a store. And by all depictions of what it's going to look like, I don't know, the kids, you know, a kid's not going to know what that is. It's more disturbing to me if you're in Woodfield and you walk by Victoria's Secrets with the pink neon lights that are flashing at you. I mean, I think the time to have taken care of that issue would have been during the zoning process. Now, certainly, as these go into business, and if we find that there's problems, we can change our zoning. It's not going to do anything for anybody who's grandfathered in, but we could tighten this up, and other towns approach this differently we did. But at this time, we've laid it out. We've said you can do this here. To have a business come in and go through the whole zoning process and now just say, we don't think you're class, I just don't know under what grounds we could say no, based on the way we've zoned it.
Trustee Kozak?
I kind of agree with Marge. ZBA did their homework, very good. They went through several public hearings with this thing. We've had this thing published. We've given the opportunity to the community to come into this thing. and to say their piece. I think that with the selection process and the selection process of the locations where what is available for them to go into, the dispensaries to go into, and what they're not be able to go into, the distancing and everything else, and all of the rules and the ramifications that we have set up, I think ZBA did a great job on this, and I think this is a good spot for us to start. We can try it, like Marge says. We can always take a look at it down the road.
Any further discussion? Look for a motion.
So, do you want a little help fashioning of what it is? So I think Trustee Dunham made a motion at the conclusion.
Oh, you did? Okay.
There was no second to that, though.
No, there wasn't, so do it again.
In the absence of a second, we can make a new motion.
So the motion, if you want to combine it into one, would be to accept the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals to approve a special use for an adult cannabis dispensary in Woodfield Regional Center design review for Flora Medex doing business as Sunnyside at 1739 East Gulf Road, Woodfield Gatherings, and to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-034, an ordinance granting a special use for an adult use cannabis dispensary and Woodfield Regional Center design review for Flora Medex doing business as Sunnyside, 1739 East Gulf Road, Woodfield Gatherings.
So moved as stated.
Second.
There's been a motion by trustee Kozak, seconded by trustee Conley.
We have a roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
No.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries. Thank you. We have nothing else under committee reports. Comments from the audience. This is an opportunity to have discussion regarding items pertinent towards the village of Schaumburg.
You got to do the ordinance, too.
No, we did it as
It
one.
was all
It
one.
was all in one.
It's all in one.
So I'll just announce for the record that we have many visitors and guests in the Zoom meeting online.
Okay.
And so if any of them would like to make comments to the village board on matters pertinent to the village of Schaumburg, they can unmute their microphones from their PC and make those comments at this time.
Hearing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Next item is council report.
Committee. No, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We have two matters. We have done the semi-annual review of executive session or closed session minutes to see if they can be released without a detriment to legal privilege or privacy concerns, and that's before you. So what would be appropriate is a motion at this point for the village board to approve the semi-annual review of executive session minutes, and that the village board minutes, those closed session minutes of July 9th, 2013, July 28th, 2009, December 14th, 2004, and February 26th, 2002, along with January 11th of 2000, be authorized for release at this time.
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee Bishke, seconded by trustee Sullivan. Any further discussion? Need a roll call?
We do. Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
And at
6
this
ayes, no nays, motion carries. Next item.
And next would be, this is the same issue, you'll see this at every meeting now until the emergency declarations end. So what we would request is a motion to, that the village board extend the proclamation declaring a local state of emergency originally made on March 20th, 2020, until the adjournment of the next meeting of the Village of Schaumburg Board of Trustees on May 26th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Dunham, seconded by trustee Bischke. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Bischke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything
That
further?
concludes my report.
Okay. Next item is President's Report. I have one item, and it's just basically a thank you to the staff, and I'll read that in just a second, they were involved in the mask, individual masks distribution that took place last week, and there was a number of individuals under the guidance of Chief Walters from the Fire Department. We have Tracy Ramondo, Training Coordinator with the Fire Department, Deputy Chief Chris Provenzano, Marty Medker, is that pronounced correctly? Matrager, my mistake. Logistics Coordinator for Engineering and Public Works, Karen Robles, Transportation Director, and Commander Joe Dugan served as Police Incident Commander. There was almost 5,000 cars during the course of the 3 days and 24,500 masks distributed at that time. And my understanding is we are looking to try and do another event to try and catch those that couldn't make it during the day, those during the evening, which staff is working on, and we'll get something out about that hopefully soon.
Will that be a weekend thing for those at work, or how's that going to work?
Probably. I don't want to.
Yeah, we're not ready to make a declaration on this yet, but the plan at this point is to hold it this Saturday morning from 8 to noon at the Boomer Stadium West parking lot. So we hope that that will allow people who work during the week to be able to come Saturday morning and be able to get a distribution. We're also distributing in other ways. We have reached out to a number of the senior living facilities here in the community through the nursing division, and they've made deliveries of masks to those facilities. And then seniors who would like to obtain masks outside of the drive that we're holding on Saturday can contact the senior and nursing division over at Market Square and make arrangements to pick up masks at that facility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Next item is Manager's Report. Anything this evening?
I have no report this evening.
Okay, thank you. New business? Unfinished business? Trustee comments and mentions. Trustee Conley.
Ordinarily, at this meeting, we would have a number of our Youth Symphony members for the awards. The Village of Schaumburg awarded 14 scholarships this year. Those range in amounts from about $175 to $300. The students, when they apply, tell us what they want to use them for. Sometimes they go toward a summer camp, sometimes toward private lessons, maybe toward a new instrument as a payment on a new instrument, things of that nature. And I will provide Marilyn this list so that it could be entered into the minutes.
Okay.
Then we have the 3 $500 scholarships that we provide to graduating seniors. The first was awarded to Matthew Rittenbush of Palatine. He's a trombone player from Palatine High School, and he received the Case Kelleher scholarship, which is sponsored by village trustee George Dunham. The next was a violin.
Trombone's got to stick together.
Yeah, the trombone, yeah. Those brass players,
Darn right.
with all those oboes they have to listen to, they're very happy to be acknowledged, I'm sure. Violinist Macabia Carita, who's from Elk Grove, and a Conant graduate, received the Ruth Park Senior Music Scholarship, which is sponsored by the Prairie Arts Foundation. And then James Purcell of Conant received the Leo Chan Alumni Scholarship. Leo is a very successful young man. I believe he has his MBA and his CPA, as I recall. And he actually interviews the scholarship recipient, and he's been funding this now for over 5 years. And he's very grateful. He's not a musician, but he's very grateful for the kind of camaraderie and discipline and things he got from participating in Youth Symphony, and he credits that for part of his success as a young professional. So we'll enter those in the minutes, and unfortunately, we won't be seeing those kids this evening.
Other trustee comments and mentions? Anyone else? No. Next item is the adjournment. Look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.